I'm Dr. Chris Raynor, an orthopedic surgeon, and today we're going to do something different. Today, I'm collaborating with fellow YouTuber After School, and together, we're going to talk about the steroid epidemic. I'm really excited about this collaboration, so let's get into it. Steroids have become increasingly more popular over the last few decades. While there has been persistent use of anabolic androgenic steroids to improve performance and physique in competitive sports, in particular bodybuilding, the largest demographic isn't actually professional athletes, it's your average Joe. The pursuit of the ideal physique is nothing new. However, the growing emphasis on physical appearance and fitness, driven in part by social media and popular culture, has a lot of people feeling like their body just doesn't measure up. Whether it's with Ozempic or steroids, many people are looking for a quick fix. And in our modern world, steroids are as easy to get as a pair of jeans. Just hop online and you're like a kid in a candy shop. But the thing is that kids can't live off candy. Reports indicate that steroid use is increasing among adolescents and young adults, driven by the desire for improved physicality. On the cusp of adulthood, many boys are feeling the pressure, quite literally, of becoming men, and want to fulfill whatever that means. But is this image of the ideal man that we've built as a society superficial? Research shows that steroid use is predominantly fueled by body image issues and aesthetic purposes. So it begs the question, is our hyper-focus on the physical characteristics, that is to say strength and muscle, causing us to overlook other, arguably more important qualities of being a man in terms of a person's character development? The irony is that in striving to achieve this uber-masculine physique, a person can permanently damage the reproductive system, among other side effects, impairing them from doing the very thing they set out on the physical improvement journey to do. That is, attract a mate in order to procreate with said mate. Today we'll be exploring steroids, what they are, how they function physiologically, the impact they have on the body, and how their increased use reflects growing body image concerns among young men. And I'm going to talk primarily about men for this video because while there is an increase in steroid use amongst women, those statistics still pale in comparison to the rates among men. Anabolic androgenic steroids, or AAS, are a group of hormones that includes testosterone, the natural form of AAS, originally isolated in the 1930s, along with numerous synthetic derivatives developed over the past 75 years. All AAS have two main effects: anabolic, which promotes muscle growth and fat loss, and androgenic, which induces masculinizing traits such as facial hair growth, a deeper voice, and other male secondary sexual characteristics. Historically, the effects of these hormones have been noted since ancient times, when castration of young males led to significant changes in body shape, libido, and behavior, suggesting that a chemical factor from the testes was responsible for these characteristics. Essentially, it was discovered that testosterone played a key role in defining a man's masculinity, affecting not just his physique, but also his energy and drive. Steroids work by essentially hijacking a man's hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. This is a hormonal system that connects your brain to your reproductive organs. Put simply, the hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland to release luteinizing hormone, or LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH. These hormones prompt the testes to produce testosterone. A small fraction of this testosterone remains as biologically active free testosterone, which can bind to various receptors, primarily androgen receptors, and exert its effects. Most of the testosterone binds to proteins in the blood, such as sex hormone-binding globulin, SHBG, or albumin. Although bound testosterone is not directly biologically active, it acts as a reservoir that can be released into its free form when needed. This balance between free and bound testosterone is crucial for maintaining overall hormonal equilibrium. Some of the testosterone is converted into dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, which is a more potent form of testosterone, while another small portion is converted into estrogen. Yes, men need some estrogen too. This entire process is regulated by a feedback loop. The levels of testosterone and its derivatives signal the hypothalamus to adjust the production of LH and FSH, thereby either increasing or decreasing testosterone production based on the body's needs. However, here's the catch. By introducing exogenous or external testosterone into the body, you interfere with the natural hormone production. When the body detects elevated levels of testosterone from these external sources, the feedback loop signals the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland to reduce or stop the production of endogenous natural testosterone. This is because the body perceives the increased external testosterone as sufficient and adjusts its own hormone production accordingly. The increase in testosterone from steroids doesn't directly increase muscle mass, but it facilitates muscle growth by enhancing the binding of testosterone to androgen receptors in muscle cells. This in turn promotes protein synthesis, the process by which cells build proteins from amino acids to repair and build muscle and other tissues. Protein synthesis primarily occurs post-workout as the body repairs muscle damage, effectively illustrating the no pain, no gain concept. Steroids also improve recovery, allowing for more intense and frequent workouts, and reduce muscle breakdown, helping users better maintain their muscle gains. And as a bonus, the increase in muscle mass increases metabolism, the calories you burn while at rest, which contributes to fat loss. Some may even enhance lipolysis, the breakdown of fat for energy. And while steroids aren't stimulants, they can boost energy, motivation, and overall vitality indirectly because of their effects on testosterone levels. So it's clear why steroids are commonly used for performance enhancement. Until the 1980s, they were mainly used by elite athletes aiming to gain an edge in competitions. Since then, their use has expanded beyond professional sports, gradually spreading to regular weightlifters, the broader fitness community, and even the general public seeking to improve their physical appearance. In the US, the reported prevalence of steroid use is approximately 3 to 4% prevalence, but this figure is likely an underestimation due to the stigma associated with being labeled a drug user. The lack of transparency surrounding steroid use has created a murky environment. In the United States and Canada, steroids are classified as Schedule III substances, making their use and distribution illegal without a prescription. Because many users are reluctant to admit their use due to fear of legal or social repercussions, there is a lot of uncertainty and speculation about who is using steroids and who isn't. The situation is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if more people were open about their steroid use, it could help prevent unrealistic comparisons and expectations. On the other hand, increased openness might also contribute to the normalization and widespread acceptance of steroid use. That said, it's pretty clear to anyone with access to the internet. If you want steroids, you can get steroids. They are more accessible than ever through both medical prescriptions and illegal sources. The underground market, often involving raw materials sourced from China and home brewing, presents serious safety risks. In a 2022 review of 19 studies with over 5,400 anabolic steroid samples from the Americas and Europe, it was found that a substantial percentage of black market steroids are counterfeit or substandard. Specifically, 36% were counterfeit and 37% were of poor quality, potentially containing no active ingredients, incorrect dosages, or wrong substances. It's safe to assume that most steroid users don't have a prescription and that this makes up a large majority of the distributed product. And it's everywhere online. The internet is helpful in a lot of ways, but it also makes the circulation of harmful material much quicker than it might be otherwise. The rise in AAS use among non-athletes seems to coincide with a growing concern about body image among young men, driven in part by modern society's increasing focus on achieving a lean and muscular physique. It's pretty clear at this point that social media affects how people feel about themselves. It's so easy to compare our lives and all its messiness to a carefully curated image. The problem is exacerbated by algorithms that favor extreme content because it generates more engagement. As a result, we often see only the most impressive athletes and their peak physical forms, overlooking the hard work and dedication required to achieve these results. were presented with exaggerated physiques, like the mass monster look, without considering the overall lifestyle or health implications behind them. This narrow view can lead us to assume that such extremes are the norm, leaving us feeling inadequate by comparison. And what do we do then? As a young person who feels like shit, a video from a steroid influencer appears in their recommendations, praising how much steroids have helped them. With just a few clicks, they can easily access and purchase these substances without ever leaving their house, driven by the allure of quick fixes and instant results. A 2024 article highlights how cultural narratives significantly impact individuals' choices, including whether to buy steroids and even which products to choose. This dynamic boosts steroid sales, creating a harmful feedback loop. As people feel worse about themselves, demand for steroids increases. Meanwhile, suppliers struggling to meet this demand often compromise on quality, focusing on quantity instead. As professional bodybuilder Josh Bridgman said in a BBC article, it was a phenomenon that exploded out of nowhere, leaving drug workers scrambling to try and understand a huge range of new drugs that were being taken by an entirely new group of people for an entirely new range of reasons. Normal people want to be fit, and fit people want to be fitter. And then there's fit people who want to be fit because even if they're already fit, they don't see themselves as fit. Body dysmorphia is a mental disorder characterized by an intense preoccupation with a perceived flaw in one's physical appearance. While it often co-occurs with anorexia nervosa, which involves an intense fear of gaining weight, extreme caloric restriction, and a distorted body image predominantly affecting women, there is a growing phenomenon known as bigorexia, or reverse anorexia affecting men. It's an anxiety disorder where individuals perceive themselves as small despite being muscular, leading to an obsession with muscular size and definition. According to Rob Wilson from the Body Dysmorphic Disorder Foundation, about 10% of men in gyms have it. The condition results in significant distress and a strong drive for muscularity, often manifesting through compulsive exercise, strict dieting, the use of PEDs, and disruptions to daily life. A 2021 MetaCheck survey of over 500 male gym goers revealed that 96% were dissatisfied with their bodies, 61% wanted to increase their size, and 75% had considered using steroids, reflecting widespread body dissatisfaction. Evidence confirms that body image is a key predictor of steroid use. Emily Robinson, Director of Strategy and Education at UK Anti-Doping, noted in a 2020 report that young men, particularly those aged 20 to 24, are increasingly drawn into a distorted view of reality, convincing themselves that the benefits of a muscular appearance outweigh the associated risks. Again, we're talking young, brain still developing young. 14-year-old boys are talking about steroids. 14-year-olds. At least go through puberty first, especially when the hormonal system they are interacting with plays a critical role in brain development at this time. Research shows that those who start using anabolic steroids during adolescence tend to have more impulsive behavior and trouble focusing when compared to those who start using steroids as adults. Studies on animals show that steroid use during adolescence can lead to long-lasting problems such as anxiety, increased aggression, and a heightened stress response, even after the steroids are stopped. These effects are linked to changes in brain chemicals and receptors, and all of this at a time when the brain is still developing. And it's not just the brain that we risk messing with. It can cause stunted growth, where bone muscle matures too fast and then stops growing, but probably the most significant side effect of anabolic steroids is hypogonadism, which refers to low levels of endogenous testosterone production. This condition can lead to reduced sperm production and potential infertility. I'm not sure if adolescents are equipped to make such a serious decision about their bodies with such long-term consequences during a time in their lives that is arguably the most impressionable and impulsive. Often, the desire for physical self-improvement isn't even about us alone, but is linked to us wanting to be considered attractive and to gain approval, particularly from potential sexual partners. And regardless of what your belief is about having children, this drive is an integral part of life and deeply rooted in our biology. In the case of steroids, increasing your physique for the sake of attractiveness might ultimately undermine the very drive that motivated you to make these changes. Therefore, I'm not sure if messing with your reproductive system for the sake of attracting a sexual partner is worth it, because a partner who truly values and loves you for who you are will not care how much you can bench press, and if they do, maybe you shouldn't be having sex with them anyways. Some other notable side effects of steroids are gynecomastia, man boobs, acne, genitourinary shrinking of the testicles, and erectile dysfunction. Abuse of these substances can lead to more serious complications, such as liver tumors, kidney failure, heart attacks, and strokes. Roid rage is difficult to quantify, but many do note increases in aggression and violence. In fact, an observational study found that users had a 9-fold higher risk of committing crimes and facing imprisonment. Long-term use has been associated with accelerated brain aging, but hopefully you won't be using it long-term, right? Users want to make it as manageable as possible without major consequences. Users often employ a pyramid approach, starting with small doses and gradually increasing them to allow their bodies to adjust. They also commonly involve using stacks, which involve combining multiple substances to avoid relying too heavily on one type of steroid and to potentially enhance their effects. Additionally, users practice cycling, taking steroids for a few months at a time, followed by a break to let their bodies recover from the drugs. However, for many, one cycle leads to another, and stopping for good may not be that easy. There is evidence that roughly 1/3 of steroid users develop psychological dependence, continuing to use the drugs despite adverse effects and potential harms. This dependence can lead to neglecting important activities and an increasing tolerance, meaning users need to progressively larger and larger doses to achieve the same results. This happens because the body adjusts to the presence of the substance through homeostatic mechanisms, either by upregulating or downregulating certain processes, which diminishes the drug's effects over time. Users may also experience unpleasant withdrawal symptoms such as fatigue, restlessness, loss of appetite, insomnia, reduced sex drive, and strong cravings for steroids. The most dangerous withdrawal symptom is depression, which can sometimes lead to suicidal thoughts or attempts. And like with any drug, some individuals may find it easier to continue using rather than dealing with these effects. Even if you manage to clear steroids out of your systems, as I said, some damage can be permanent. Many people who quit using steroids end up needing lifelong testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, because their body stops producing testosterone naturally. This means that by using steroids, you might commit yourself to a lifetime of injections and dependence on external substances just to maintain normal hormone levels. I know that many aging men take TRT now anyways, but I have to point out the elephant in the room. By choosing to use steroids in your 20s for bigger muscles, you might be giving up your ability to choose natty or not later in life. As you age, your priorities and values may shift, and you might care less about your appearance. However, you'll still have to deal with the consequences of that decision, including the lifelong commitment to hormone replacement therapy. And while taking regular injections for TRT might not be the worst outcome, it is inconvenient, and most would prefer to still have the choice in whether to use them or not, especially if they can avoid it by making different decisions earlier in life. That said, if individuals are determined to use steroids, the least we can do is to ensure they are making an informed decision and use them as safely as possible. Many people overlook the risk of blood-borne viruses, for example, HIV, hepatitis B and C, as a result of unsafe injection practices. We all hear stories of a literal group of guys in the gym locker room passing around the gear from person to person. In a 2006 study of 500 users, 13% reported unsafe practices such as sharing needles, reusing needles, and sharing vials. That was in 2006, and today it's even easier to find community outreach programs that offer safe needle exchanges. However, these exchanges are often associated with drug addicts, a category which many steroid users do not consider themselves to be in. But whether someone does it or not, if using, use safely. I believe that it's important that you're doing all that you can to be healthy before introducing exogenous substances into your body in order to minimize the damage they could potentially cause. This means focusing on nutritious diet, regular exercise, adequate rest, strong social connections, and good mental health. You might be surprised by the improvements in both your physique and self-image from these practices alone. For bodybuilders, there's a concerning trend of neglecting the foundational elements, like spending hours in the gym and eating multiple healthy meals a day in favor of seeking quick fixes. In many competitive circles, it's widely believed that using steroids is essential to be taken seriously and to reach a pro-level status, to fit in with the big boys, so to speak. However, this mentality has spread beyond the realm of sports and is even affecting boys who are still, well, boys. I understand there's significant societal pressure to be manly, often implying that you must look a certain way to fit into this mold. However, we might be adhering to an outdated view of masculinity. True masculinity isn't a surface-level quality, and while I'm not here to reinforce gender norms, I think that a defining characteristic of man, or anyone for that matter, is the ability to lead with integrity and live honorably. Life can be difficult, and the ability to remain stable throughout its storms, to resist external pressures, and to develop self-discipline and self-mastery is a strength worth pursuing, instead of the strength that comes from big muscles. That isn't to say that you can't get fit. You can. But remember, your body isn't everything. Confucianism introduces the concept of the superior man, which emphasizes character and moral excellence. While you don't have to follow every tenet of this philosophy, the idea that a superior man is one who embodies superior actions and character is a valuable perspective. If we're able to focus on any aspect of masculinity, let it be there. Just being a good person, and this involves embracing a full spectrum of human qualities, including those traditionally considered feminine. True confidence comes from being yourself, regardless of societal expectations, and confidence is what makes a person truly attractive. And when it comes to fitness training, focusing on function rather than aesthetics is often more practical. Take Navy SEALs, for example. Most skilled soldiers out there. I mean, they are literally warriors. While they are exceptionally strong, their training focuses on practicality and resilience rather than mere size and appearance, emphasizing functional fitness to handle diverse challenges and challenging situations effectively. It's important for them to sustain their fitness while preventing injury because being injured on the battlefield undermines their ability to do their job. I know not everyone is a Navy SEAL, but I think the analogy works when considering navigating life's challenges. Training solely for aesthetics focuses on static visuals rather than dynamic functionality and can lead to practical issues. For example, steroid use can increase the risk of torn tendons and joint problems, as muscles may grow too large for the body to support them properly. This often happens when people prioritize appearance over proper form and flexibility, which are essential for overall movement and health. The goal then becomes more so to pose well than to move well. But if your body seemingly bursting at the seams doesn't make you question whether you're doing too much, I'm not sure what will. Similarly, if the pursuit of a more manly appearance comes at the cost of potentially damaging your natural ability to produce the primary hormone that contributes to masculine characteristics, testosterone, and makes you completely dependent on external substances for the rest of your life, I think there's something young men should consider very, very carefully. Thanks for watching. That's been a word from Dr. Chris, not your everyday ortho. And by the way, if you liked the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I'm really excited about this collaboration, and if you want to see more like this, be sure to let us know in the comments down below.